Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on ensuring the safety during landfill design. Greetings from Department of Civil Engineering, Amity University, Haryana. It gives an immense pleasure to share a feeling of gratitude to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Venkateshan, currently working as Assistant Professor with Senior Grade in Civil Engineering Department, University College of Engineering, and Anna University. He graduated in Civil Engineering from Bharatiya University in 1993 and obtained his master degree in Water Resources Engineering and Management from NIT Tiruchirappalli in 2003. And also he is a recipient of PhD fellowship from TECUP, that is Government of India, and awarded a doctoral degree by NIT Tiruchirappalli in year 2010. He has been involved in teaching, research, and industrial experience for the past 20 years. He has taught more than 20 subjects to undergraduate and postgraduate students. At present, 4 candidates has completed and 8 candidates are pursuing their PhD program under his supervision. He has published 41 papers in international and national journal and presented 67 papers in conference. He has published 4 books and 4 book chapters and 2 patents filed. He has awarded with the Vishwakarma Award for the category of academician for the year 2017. That is organized by the Construction Industry Development Council, the Government of India. Rashtriya Gaurav Award for the year 2015 by the International Friendship Society, New Delhi. And also he received a Best Paper Research Award for the environmental issues in the Department of Environmental from the Government of Tamil Nadu in the year 2012. With this introduction, now I would request Dr. Venkateswaran to deliver a talk on ensuring the safety during the landfill design. So thanking you.
Thank you, sir. Nice introduction, sir. First of all, I thank Amity University given to me opportunity to take the webinar, as well as Dr. S.N. Sridhara, Professor and Director, Amity University, Gurgaon, and Dr. Naveen, Head of Department. Sir has given a nice introduction for me. Thank you, sir. Mr. Sambhav Jain and Mr. Ankit Bhattara from Amity University, Gurgaon, as a coordinators of this webinar, and all participants. Good afternoon and all. Now we are talking with the ensuring safety during landfill and design. So, sir, given from the topic of disaster management, why not think the landfill? The landfill is one of area now in India, especially in India, the developing country, where more attention need. So that's why we are choosing the topic of landfill. So commonly landfill separate from surrounding properties by fences and other barriers, ditches and water bodies, open spaces also. The safety is maintained achieved through careful planning, the provisions of utilization of appropriate equipment, and as well as landfill safety, especially for construction of landfill, you need for more safety. After same like that, closures of the landfill also need for more attention because of lot of landslides. Often landfill they may occurred. So most probably we are well versed in the cross section of landfill here. The pictorial representation also is there. So it is a precipitation for the landfill has 2 category. One is for subsurface and next one for surface category. So this is this is ground level. So whatever solid waste is stored in above the ground surface, make it for layer is clay soil, or nowadays using for GCL also is there. Geosynthetic clay liner we are provided for prevention of leachate. So it is a leachate pipe. So here see that is for leachate collection pipe. So leachate is nothing but a solid waste is degraded due to in atmospheric actions like moisture as well as chemical reactions. They getting the dense liquid. It is called as a leachate. So of course we are know that in India there are a huge big cities have a lot of landfill will be there. So just to highlight remember that you for Delhi, Ghazipur landfill is an second largest in India. This one Balwasa in North Delhi, Okela in South Delhi, as well as in Haryana there Banbari landfill is there for Haryana. In Mumbai there are Dioner landfill is one of the largest landfill in India. It's starting from 1927. The Mulent is in same Maharashtra. In Kanjanmarg is there. So in Kolkata, in next metropolitan cities of Dopa, in East Kolkata, in Chennai also is there for Perungudi, Kodingur and Tiruttiur. So this is an view of landfill. So even it's not for any big cities, even the small district headquarters or even small villages have a nearby side, have a landfill will be there. So we are more considering solid waste landfill dumping, especially for municipal solid waste. So we are talking about some design aspects of landfill. It is for slope configuration design. Slope angle is critical design parameter that determines the shape and available capacity of site. There are the obvious factors such as slope stability that govern maximum allowable slope angles of interim and final slopes, as well as regularity limits that influences the maximum slope angles. Designers must consider subgrade conditions also. The steeper slopes causes for landfill. So the every day it's not for one day they're completing all solid waste. No, every day they make it for dumping the solid waste the above ground surface or below ground surface in the landfill. Need for slope stability analysis for which slope there are maintained. So simply we see for after first closure of landfill, they make it for grass. So it is for the slope configuration of design we required for that. So of course we are in a maximum allowable final slope for 4 horizontal, 1 vertical, or somewhat in steeper area, and 1 vertical, 3 horizontal is maximum possibility of the make it the slope configuration. It is also the slope configuration design is of the post closure of the landfill. So you see the season for almost there are landfill closes. This is for new landfill area. So we think about that in a leachate collection is a very important one parameter. So next one for soil monitoring design is a resource and health and safety of environment is required. So what is the emergency? It is a nearby closest hospital. Is potential site hazardous. Required personal protective care is needed. So employee training. So most probably, of course, we note down that solid waste management people are in municipal corporation or nagarpalika. The employees they almost have a care of 4 or mazdoor. They need for some awareness program is required for that handling the landfills, especially for in hot summer. They got it for somewhat smoking, other thing they put on in some bushes and other thing they got it major fire also happened. So as well as they require for some general consideration, so how to handle the equipment and how the handle the area, it is a very important things you needed. So only allow drivers to enter the disposal area. Hence the spotter is not discarded external activity. Smoking and other activity may be reduced. All site personnel should be required to sign in out and each time. So equipment training is a very important thing. So especially for in a landfill design or time of execution of landfill, there are more heavy equipments used. So most probably in India, the Bangalore will be the BML, Bharat Heavy Equipment Limited will be there are put on for some huge type of floral or somewhat in compact type machine is needed. So even the L&D also is there are lot of soil stabilization equipment will be manufactured. So you see that the JCP, so if, sometimes happen in the site, so we require to some important consideration how will be the equipment management. So even sometimes due to moisture or some extraordinary cases, we happen some accidents will be happen. So we not say to 100% not accident zone. In some cases, sometimes they happen. So maybe a way first of all prevent to our human being community as well as the machinery in some extent. So personal protective equipment is for outsets, steel milestone, steel toe and caper foot wear. Air protection and dust masks also is available. Eye protection gloves as well as goggles, face masks. So this is a personal protective equipments. So we need for some personalized training for job required as well as choose the proper gear for your job. Know the limits of each pieces. So of course, this is for pandemic time. Most of people, even we are not aware that mask and other thing put on in common place. Now there is corona or COVID. We are facing lot of things. We will whistle for gloves and the helmets as well as for walkie-talkie, for well-protected equipment to carry message from walkie-talkie, because of the landfill site is huge, is even for 40 or 50 acres will be there. You easily communicate that. So next one for safety vest used for visibility, hearing protection, loud working environment will be there, because of the every day they're leveling that solid waste you need for tractor or tipper arrangement will be there. So you need so somewhat protect with the hair also, or hats, glasses also protect your eyes. So this is a common protective equipment of designs. So preparation is unusual, so you need for some attention, some proverb will be there. Prevention is better than the cure. The same like that you need for some, we are need for some requirement to safety against for during of construction. So apart from the bloodborne diseases will be, because of most time the municipal solid waste, it's sometimes I react with also biomedical waste. So sometimes mixed with which with the municipal solid waste. So some of bloodborne pathogens is there for in biomedical waste. So also the causes of disease of hepatitis B and HIV and other things also is there. You need for we are need to care to how they segregate BMW as well as MSW, municipal solid waste. Sometimes I have a mixed with that, but nowadays that as per CPCB, Center Pollution Control Board, as well as MOEF, Ministry of Environment and Forest Climate Change, they are giving some separate guidelines. So even every state have a separate things will be there. Every there. So based on upper requirement, we need for some consideration. So the bloodborne pathogens also is there. So accident prevention responsibility, many landfill appointment health and safety inspectors, manager, and maybe appropriate address to following. First aid and medical services also happen. The fire protection and fire prevention plans also is there. Accident prevention responsibilities, personal protective equipment, visibility protection from direct inquiry such as relationary protection of LFG and dust protection from noise. Accident prevention responsibility also is there. Some aspect of management plan and procedures would be there. So of course in India, in 1950s, there are most of in European countries as well as in the US, there are more number of asbestos sheets would be there. Asbestos sheet is a byproduct of petroleum industry. So due to long time you sitting, we are getting we get it the cancer and other diseases. But in India is most of what are the leave it in Western culture. We are importing that lot of material. Even the lot of plants also available now in India, the asbestos plants. We need for some attention required for an environment. So apart from chemical hazardous also is there. It is gasoline and acid, batteries, oil, and chemicals. So there is some chemical hazardous unit for in batteries. There are highly contaminated nickel. Will be heavy metal. Is also is directly influencing with the groundwater or other way of to contaminate. It is also tough task for that. So next one for natural hazards, insect for snakes and other thing will be some common thing. We not discussing much that. So most probably in landfill, we require some attention so somewhat in heritage places or in nearby airports because of the flies will be there. So sometimes the birds will be hit with the aircraft. There are a huge damage will be occurred. So you need for some attention. So always the outskirts of city, the landfill site will be preferred. These for confined spaces for limited means of entrance or exist can be bodily entered, not designed to continuous occupancy, and manholes, chemical storage bins. So these things are required that. So confined spaces also the criteria. Signs that communicate effectively both security and safe can be engaged through the placement and appropriate signs. Typically, entry signs will show hours of operation, the name of owner operation, and provide that. Typical safety signs we required for that. So here see that this space may contain explode toxic gases or lack of sufficient oxygen. So we must be aware to and taken care of that. So next one for important design of landfill, the slope stability or as well as post closures of landfill, the slope stability we need for soil type, load, which type of load will be there, slope value, liner material, cover material, and as well as load bearing capacity. Is of course slope stability, the design consideration we require. Foundation soil must be capable of supporting the landfill weight. Failures occur when foundation soil beneath the adjacent to the landfill yield because of the uphill load. The applied load corresponds to material weight above the foundation soils. So next one for design consideration, we need for stability analysis during design should focus on the shear resistance of the soil and geosynthetic material underlying the waste. So you show the typical figure. The every day there are layer by layer. There are putty for layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. So we are dumping that based on the requirement that bottom side liner will be there. You native silty sand or native soil will be there. So somewhat in India, especially considering India, there are municipal solid waste landfills. It's not have any engineering landfills. Say simply there are dumping that waste. So now in Western countries, there are followed that the bioreactor landfills. So all will be in closed environment. It's not any open circumference. They all will be closed. So even the discharge is also the generated. The same discharge is recirculated on top of solid waste. It's a good nutrient for a degrade of fresh solid waste, and the solid waste volume also reduced. So some action there are using and again a recirculation of leachate as well as you maintain the layer. This is layer thickness. So you reduce the thicknesses that. So the slope is always maintained 1:3 or almost top coverage. So 1% of the slope is maintained. So it's another view of the slope stability and severe waterproof free road and slope directions. It's a top layer and vegetation layer, drainage layer, and blocking side. So it is a huge type of landfill. After that, required for the slope stability. So maintain some slope stability. So the liner slope stability, when calculating slope stability, owners should be considered as a shear strength of material in the foundation and the landfill. If the slope applies shear and normal stress value above the failure envelope, the material will be stretched and fail that. Next one for liner slope stability, the evaluation should indicate the shear resistance or friction between waste and liner system top layer. Owners can specify liner material that are stronger and more resistant sliding, increasing stability. Slope failure residence geometry such as intermediate to steps and landfill will be there. As well as cover slope stability, it secure landfill covers with rainfall induced seepage accumulation over a geomembrane also should be considered. Accumulated water increase the weight of soil above the geomembrane and reduce the effective stress and the shear resistance of interface and the materials above the geomembrane. Because of stress applied, the cover soil is small, usually 3 feet of soil. Small liquid increases above geomembrane can quickly cause instability. So next one for cover slope stability, the small increases in landfill gas pressure and can accumulate under a geomembrane in landfill cover, reduce the shear resistance between soil and overlaying geomembrane on cause of slope failure. To prevent this, gas must properly vented so that the geomembrane cap does not act like balloon wells to withdraw gases in porous media. So it is an design of conceptual design of cross section. The municipal solid waste here. You see that for in pictorial diagram, it drainage layer and a gas vent and other things will be there. So vegetation will be there. So here we see that it's not for day by day. The landfill is filtering by layer by layer. So one short foot of starting with the diagonal, there are filling that, they are like that. So most of in our conventional method, there are dumping landfill material, solid waste by layer for every day. But here somewhat different scenario for here, seeing that slopes maintain that. So some analytical method, we are using manual analysis or computer analysis, or somewhat in a slope stability analysis will be straight on the other software facilities nowadays available to calculate for the slope stability of the landfills. So some analysis factor always consider say 1.5 is some slope stability diagrams per year. So using the more circle, we found that for in olden days. So it is in landfills are existing the facilities for slope stability. Plate also is about insert. So you not disintegrate that. Regulations, the several regulations followed in US, EPA. Our in India there are municipal solid waste handling rule 2020 have now released. The draft copy also is there, as also released. So according that MSW handling rules, we are following that in landfill site. So wherever requirement. So next one for site inspection. So you need for some other cracks is formed with the dumping of solid waste as well as settling of cracks. So somewhat in clay soil or landfill, there are a lot of cracks is formed due to freezing and thawing. So next one for post closure, it is also required for post closure of the landfill. So there are more attention needed. So most of administrator or most of personnel, especially for government, there are at running of landfill, they're giving the more attention or starting that construction of landfill. Even after after closure of landfill due to economic and other financial criteria, they are not much concentrated. But the most of time the hazardous or some other things happen due to in landfill as well as post closures. There are major element of post closure can program include the following: landfill capping system. There are properly capping that. So it is an any leachate is monitoring system is available. Make it that. So gas. So next important gas control system. So most probably we have thought about the greenhouse gases only for CO2, but there are in well-bed they are contributing. Methane is also have a major contribution of greenhouse gases. So we need for checking for the gases of the post closures. Major element of post closures care. The stormwater management system is properly drained or not, especially this heavy rain. The last month they poured in Delhi, the Okila landfill site, there are sliding will be happen. So due to over dumping of solid waste, these things will be happen. So in same like that in hot summer, they maybe sometimes the fire is happen. So the both will be there. So fire happen even that if not visibility roads and other things. Most probably, well-versed in Delhi, there are a lot of air pollution and climate change studies are did it in researchers. I found that most probably air pollution also is somewhat contributing that in more in way. The same like that in burning of landfill material, they cause induce a lot of air pollution. So somebody this post closure pictures, you see that so nice grassing. There are put that for drainage facilities also put for post closures. It is water quality system for monitor water quality. Leachate collection system, it is very important. So after once the closing of landfill, there are more possible to generate leachate. So it is a dense liquid waste, dense liquid to decay of the solid waste. So we need some attention for leachate collection systems. So how will be disposed of leachate is also a very important thing. It is a diagram for represent the treatment of the leachate. Major element of post closure case one is again I repeatedly the financial assurance. So we are more concentrate at time of active live on a landfill site. So you are dumping, there are more concentrated. Even the design on the execution of landfill, there are concerned. But post closure, a little bit fund and flow money will be less. There is not concentrated that. So annual post-closure report also required for every 1 and 2 years. So what is the contaminant level of a nearby area of groundwater, or as well as that any sinkage will be there for an landfill, so that any crack will be there formed, or all will be there monitoring that. It is very requirements in that. So in of course the second of this session, I saw that one case study regarding the municipal solid waste landfill. It is part of my research work, PhD work. So I shared another half an hour. We will be discussing about that. I will be designing of municipal solid waste landfill based on the lab scale model. So of course we know that municipal solid waste disposal become a major problem in like countries, India, developing country, the leachate contaminated surrounding environment. So I tried to compacted clay liner using the micro silica. Its clay liner is consists of one or more layers cohesive soil that have been compacted to achieve a low permeability. The purpose of clay liner is an landfill to serve a barrier between waste material and the environment to preventing the seepage. Of course, if the natural clay is not available, we alternative material, we think about that PVC membrane, asbestos, foundry sand, drilling sheet, mud tire shed, and etc. So our objective study to find the first geotechnical properties of clay and clay microsilica composites. Next one for permeability of clay liner material. So next one determination of absorption coefficient of clay and microsilica composites. Next one studies of solute transport single clay liner system with admixture of microsilica. So next one for solute transport composite clay liner with the microsilica and geosynthetic clay liner. We are the following materials are used as per standards: clay, microsilica, Indian standard stand, GCL, and municipal solid waste is here nearby in Trichabali in Tamil Nadu yard. We are collecting solid waste. It is an clay soil atlas in particular locality in India as well as Tamil Nadu, Trichabali. We are one of the grand anaket in a Kaveri river is an it's a construct the emperor of Chola emperor. So still the anaket will be good conditions for the stability and other aspects. Nearby the grand anaket, we are collecting sample for soil samples for nearby area and lake. GCL, of course, you know that GCL is a geosynthetic clay liner. It is an alternative material nowadays used. Though we are for landfill design, we required for a clay soil 1.2 meter height. It's almost 3 or 4 layer of 1 feet like that. You just to make it and compact it. But GCL is a small material, just sandwich the bentonite and as well as natural fiber. It is a thickness around 15 centimeter maximum possibility. So it's a GCL material. It's a cross section of the geosynthetic liners in our study. It is for bottom surface, is top surface. The GCL in between the bentonite will be there. It is sandwiched with the geosynthetic material. So it's properties of GCL. So microsilica. So of course we are well aware that microsilica or silica film, especially the more research is taken place in concrete and concrete related material. So I choose that why not using the microsilica in clay soil. A few researchers also did it for an soil stabilization using the microsilica. So I tried to in landfill liner. So in what extent? So some basic definition of microsilica. So we are two classification. One is for geotechnical experts. We did it for landfill liner. Next one for environmental experts. So most probably the landfill, there are a combination of environmental and geotechnical. It's called environmental geotechnology or environmental geotechnics. So the methods, they are following methods is followed: standard product test, compaction test, gravity, some basic tests we are followed. Apart from that, the morphological analysis, we are in XRD and SEM and attacks is also formed. So it is an incremental loading consolidation test apparatus in our laboratory. So we are test run, trial run is taken from consolidation test. So most probably we are know that The clay soil, if need for finding the permeability, is a falling at now permeability test is used, but at those days, even that accuracy of the test we are taken from consolidation test using the formulae K equal to CVAV gamma W1 plus C. We found that K value indirectly. Calculate the CV value. So in very test run will be taken from ratio of microsilica clay. So we are taken that two pore liquid, one is for water, next one for leachate. So the 5 ratios, the leachate is taken from 3 ratios during the various consolidation test. We did it, find the K value indirectly. The same like that batch studies for an environmental aspects, the absorption parameter of clay soils we are identified in 3 mixes. We are only the basic element anion and cation are tested apart from that COD. So this is for column setup for we are stimulate that whatever in the field condition lab. So the diameter of column 10 centimeter, soil height 10 centimeters. So 3 times of due to gravity only we are applying that laboratory. So the 90 centimeter leachate is stored. The test run will be 24 days. Number of trials, 3 trials were taken. Studies on solid transport composite clay lining system added a mixture of microsilica. So we are did it 2 trials. So here see that we are seeing the adding with the composite liner. So clay and as well as in GCL. So apart from we are identified that what real data is available. So we collect that groundwater nearby solid waste yard at Arimangalam site and Trichin, Tamil Nadu. So it is an site. So Tamil Nadu Trichabali. So this is Trichy Tanjore highway. The locality of we are taken the 3 samples. L1 is very close to solid waste landfill. L2 is somewhat away from the landfill. L3 is in between of this. So those days they are developed that solid waste dumping yard at the outskirts of city. But now they are heart of city due to urbanization and other development. They came under to corporation limit. So resultant discussion. So according that 5 ratios, the percent of microsilica up to 20%, we add that OMC value found and gamma dV value is found. So based on the interpretation, adding the microsilica, the optimum moisture content value is increasing. The dry density value is also decreasing because of adding the soil, clay soil and microsilica. The density is varied. The gamma D density is a decreasing scenario were observed. We are conducting unconfined comparative strength at laboratory. Is various mixes also. The values also here shown that UCC and shear strength. So we conclude that the percentage of microsilica somewhat in optimum at 0.447. So almost for getting from a range of this is ratio of microsilica increase in content and increase in shear stress. So good in for an unconfined comparison. Adding the microsilica, the unconfined comparison strength of the specimen is the increasing scenario were observed. This is test of clay liner material. So based on the conclude that the soil is very stiff, firm and soft based on the data. So according our classification, clay soil is 5% ratio is microsilica. Consistently a steep and 10% and 50% 20 microsilica clay is very steep. So it is direct shear test results of clay microsilica and IS tan. So apart from it, just you compare the actual falling and permeability stuff for rock clay whether we are conducting of 20 days, what will be the permeability will be varied. So it is in consolidation experiment setups. So preparation of specimen. So We are tried with the two pore fluid, one is water. Same like that, most of our researchers did it in constant loading of test, consultant test. So we think that why not in incremental loading? So every day, say for example, every day add for 1 kg or half kg like that, just to increasing way. We are conducting that. So only the pore fluid is water. It is pore fluid for leachate. So most of researchers we did it in synthetic solutions, but we are tried to real leachate, but the sometimes the leachate will be that interrupt the results in some extent also. So it is consulted test results, time settlement, vertical stress relationships also we are observed here. So the various ratios. This is time settlement, vertical stress relationships for time and days settlement. Vertical stresses with a wide ratio of clay and microsilica admixtures in accents, and wide ratio percentage log p value will be there here. So we compare with the permeability with the versus the porosity. It's of 5 ratios in water and 3 ratio in clay. So obtain the final results of average permeability values of water. It's 2.85, 1.87, 1.84, and 1.6. So same like that, and Leachart also found that. So study for Leachart characteristics of solid-waste yard. So after we did it all for environmental experts, we need for an absorption studies. So normally we are getting the batch studies. The batch studies nothing but they put on samples in conical flask. So for 10 samples, 10 conical flasks is supposed to take. So there are 3 optimization techniques normally followed. One is time optimization. Next one is dosage optimization, pH optimization. So you see the time optimization in the graph. So the time period is taken from just for in a shaker is available in laboratory just to put on solution. Say for example, 100 ml of whatever leachate, and you observe and is clear and microsilica mixed with that. So 1 gram is take for example. Both will be there. 10 conical flasks we prepared. So every 5 minutes take that the shaker will be operated, and every 5 minutes 5, 10, 15, 30 and 45 minutes according that each one will be pull it and you make it for analysis. They got in the results of time optimization. Same like that in 3 ratios we did it based on the test results. We are got it for pure clay is 45 minutes for time optimization. Next one dosage. Same like the dosage we are put on every conical flask 1 gram, 2 gram, 3 gram, 4 gram, 5 gram, etc. Time is put on kept on constant. Say for example clay soil there are 45 minutes. Dosage have varied. To obtain for dosage optimization, it also in the figure, first figure, this is dosage optimizations. Once you know dosage and a time, we need for pH optimization. We fixed the time. Say for example, 45 minutes for clay soil. The dosage is 5 gram means 5 gram. Take the sample for 10 conical flask and 45 minutes constant running. The pH is slightly varied due to HCl or NaOH we added, and which one will pH value we are finding that it is for batch studies normally. Apart from the temperature and other whatever requirement batch studies we also conducted. So in the batch studies we interpret that Langmuir isotherm and French Luth isotherm. So isotherm constants are shown in figure in batch studies taken for COD. The following parameters also evaluated from batch studies: calcium, magnesium, sodium, chloride, sulfate, and COD. Corresponding ratios also are there. Absorption coefficient also percent that. So is for parameter for front isotherm. Next one, absorption coefficient for calculate for rock clay. Microcyclic clay and a comprise of ratio of 1:20 and 1:10. We found overall maximum of Kd value. Sodium is less compared with the potassium. Same like that for the ratio 1:10 as well as Kd value of clay also we found that. So next one, column experiment setup. So we need for multiple experiments using that acrylic pipe as well as the PVC pipe. So it is for porous stone. Put on the filter top bottom surface. There is bottom surface of GCl, top surface, make it that. Is a column experiment setup here. So find the solid breakthrough curves of single clay liner system. Clay and 1:10, 1:10. The ratio is also found here. So based on you find the diffusion coefficient D and as well as retardation factor. It's using for most probably mega FED. Most of researchers did it diffusion coefficient retardation factor. So diffusion test, there are conducting of laboratory scale model for a reactor. There are two tests we are mostly exposed. One is for advection diffusion test, next one for diffusion test. The major difference between advection diffusion, just you bottom of all open, your constant reservoir of liquid is stored in above that your layer. Every day we take that sample and just to maintain the top level of reservoir. That is called advection diffusion test. Pure diffusion is nothing but say for considering our test run is 24 days. Just to put on valve is closed, the container they put on soil, whatever is stagnant one. Don't passing that below that, don't do any opening that. So after you take that layer, 10 centimeter layer contaminated and sliced, got it, the result is called as a diffusion test. This is basic test. So the average diffusion coefficient, we are finding that 1:10, 1:20 and clay. Average effective diffusion coefficients of clay soil is somewhat potassium is less compared with the calcium as well as other ratios also here there. Diffusion emissions of clay and microsilica composite is in the figure. Next one, column and advection diffusion layer analysis did it. So just take that sample, say for example the 10 centimeter layer will be there. Just take the sample outside to make it slice in a 3-way and find that volumes of each contaminate layer for various ratios of clay 1:10 and 1:20. So it is a single liners studies for contaminated clay analysis as well as solid breakthrough curves for clay and GCl composite liners. So up to run 24 days, we could test run. Next one, average diffusion coefficient, finding that, and as well as retardation factor of find the composite clay liner system and various ratios. So we are compared with the previous researchers. What did for fermenting liquid is not constant one. So somebody have put on landfill chart, somebody have a synthetic solution prepared, some had in water also sometimes have that prepared. We are directly take landfill chat. So in calcium, magnesium, sodium and potassium, chlorine, sulfate. So that this is reference. So in our study for a single clay liner system, so only clay will be put on. Next one, but composite clay liners. Retardation factors. It's also governed that. So the based on previous research carried out in our research work in the single liner systems also shown tabulation. So apart from the morphology analysis, we did it for ADAX and SEM, Hexadian and SEM. So ADAX spectra for rock clay. So the elements most probably SiO2 both for clay and microsilica is more component. So ADAX spectra for raw and contaminated clay is also here present there. So both the clay advection diffusion and clay diffusion test we carried out. So next one for SEM pattern for raw advection diffusion and clay. Raw clay means just before the experiment we take that just to see it and find that what is the pattern. Clay advection diffusion means that just to open the valve of this one column studies and find that after sliced after 24 days take that sample and oven tried and take that. So clay diffusion test same like the other ratios also we have found that. Just we compare with the EDAX spectra raw contaminated clay elements. Same pattern also so far one issue with 3 ratios that we show here representing that. It is same pattern for raw and contaminated clay 1:10 ratio. Showing these pictures for we need for some analysis what is micro nanomicrons. So based on that whether that microsilica is engassed with the clay soil or just pore is arrested and other parameters were studied. So next one for index spectra for raw and contaminated clay liner ratio of D. Next one chemical elements of contaminated single clay liner system and advection diffusion process. Oxides of contaminated single clay liner system for advection and diffusion. It's also chemical elements for contaminated single clay liner and diffusion system are studied. Oxides of contaminated single clay liner system also diffusion test were studied. Just we compare that what is the previous study. Say for example anyone with carbon. So most probably the clay soil, the carbon content more for in vegetative soil. So the previous study 4.2, post experimental value is 3.89. So it is leached some extent in carbon. So same like the microsilica, post experimental somewhat higher. So we compare with the results. Be period to study, I will be post experimental results. So this XRD pattern around the contaminated clay liner system here. So in NATTC. The XRD pattern of raw and contaminated composite clay liner systems of clay 1:20 and 1:10 and GCL showing it. So the every peak is identified a different scenario. Say for example, quartz here, see that 25. So again they came in for 52 degrees, 2 theta. So is the peaks identified. So we aware that a clay and a clay 1:10 and 20 is a raw material will be there. After the experiment, again we take that sample after 24 days, the trial run is over. Again make it a sample and tested. We compare with the actuals and what are the contaminant taken place for that. So that shows in the figure here. The same like that for contamination of clay and GCL and advection diffusion tests. SRD peaks in raw clay and a microsilica clay composites 1:20 and 1:10. There's also you see that more 2 theta angles and clay and 1:10 and other ratios also here. XRD peaks in raw clay before experiment and after advection diffusion. Few diffusion process also you see that. 1:20 clay ratio before experiment after advection diffusion test. XRD peaks in microsilica and clay composite 1:10 ratio before and experiment after advection diffusion process. So we studied the groundwater quality. Result and discussion. So this is and again we saw that in Chennai, Trichy Highway, it is Chennai Madurai track, Trichy Tanjore Main Road, somewhat here NIT, National Institute of Technology, Trichy somewhat here is there, somewhat Bharat BHEL, Bharat Heavy Electric Limited, somewhat here there, some OFT will be there, some area. So this is an sketch. So it is actual landfill site for we are considering research. It's not anyway in Indian landfill site, just dump that. So the small drainage will be there. This is leach chart. You see a lot of flies and mosquitoes will be there. This also flies will be there. So we study the groundwater quality in 3 wells in various parameters and compare with the standards. So it is chemical groundwater qualities in average concentration also 3 wells we are compare that, as well as the standards WHO Indian standard, as well as in percent steady area. So what is the limits? So most probably all of chemical quantity, say for example here chloride we see 4,449, if not fit for even the irrigation purpose also. So such much of contamination should be there nearby the groundwater. It's also correlatory matrix of locations of 3 locations. So based on the results, the total alkalinity dominating constitution in all wells other than parameters. So we derived a lot of results from the groundwater quality. Next one for factor analysis. So after this thing, we are conducting geotechnical aspects. There are some parameters, say for example, Proctor compaction test, dry density, as well as for sieve analysis, as well as the permeability. They are more important for any landfill design. The permeability or hydraulic conductivity is more important. So of course we know that 1 into 10 power minus 6 centimeter per second is for in above the value, it's good for that hydraulic conductivity of particular site. It is an geotechnical properties as well as UCC shear test. In environmental aspects, we did it in batch studies and as well as a real replica of column studies also conducted. According to that, environment studies with finding the values of French-Luth isotherm as well as Langmuir isotherm, absorption coefficient, diffusion coefficient, and the retraction factors are we find out. So the groundwater quality, again the parameters of anion and cation, and the COD has also found that based on the wells, 3 wells. So along this test result, we want to validate the results. There are only possibility to modeling of the results. So the validation of experimental results using the PolitV software, some parameter is assumed, some parameter is obtained from the testers. Say for example, distribution coefficient, we got it for the magnesium only, I put it here. Batch studies we got it. For in time interest, we are choosing that after 10, 15 or under 20 years or 200 years what happened. So some will be assumed diffusion coefficient for assumed, some will be have a source concentration magnesium taken from that landfill Lichat value. So based on this, we run with Pollute software, given the input value, they got it from that clay liner predicted concentration depth of the different time intervals of magnesiums. So based on 10 and 15, 50 and 100 years, what will be there? Other parameters also find out that. Model output of clay liner time interval versus concentration from depth of magnesiums also find that. So based on the invention of interpretation of model results, in time 10, 50, 100 and 150, 200 years, the depth also we are found the 0.25, 0.5 varies depth is concentration of each depth. So based on that, depth is 0. You see that time depth, the values are increasing scenario for a year is increasing, definitely the concentrated value is increasing. So based on this time in years for 200 years, concentration in magnesium, so 0 meter, 0.25 meters. So according to the below the ground surface, the values in decreasing scenario based on the well and well 1, well 2 and well 3. There are getting where good interpretation results are achieved. Same like that for concentration versus depth. So apart in the results, we conclude that geotechnical properties, as well as the 1:20 ratio found classified as stiff and other composite very stiff as per defining specific gravity, IS sand and clay soil 2.13 and 2.63 and 2.54. Liquid and plastic limit of clay also that updated here. It's considered as a medium plastic clay. Permeability clay liner material added microsilica using incremental loading test. Based on test, we are evaluated 1:20 and 1:10. Decrease the permeability value. The range is also given as here. The most probably incrementing consultant test shows the optimum average permeability. It's obtained from microsilica clay is 1:10 ratio. Next one, batch studies of clay liner material at the microsilica composites. It shows that time optimization 45 minutes for clay and 1:20, 60 and 60 minutes. So similarly, their pH obtained from 5, 6 and 6 for ratios Langmuir isotherm. As absorption coefficient also we are calculating here. Where chloride and COD were not significant decrease absorption coefficient. The correlation coefficient were good fit for principal isotherm compared with the Langmuir isotherm. It found the absorption coefficient for magnesium relative higher than the other cations. Based on the single clay liner system, we found two clay liner system, maximum diffusion coefficient was observed in calcium and magnesium and other elements. Maximum D is anion, the chloride is observed that the maximum retardation factor single clay liner system where anion was observed. Higher potassium retardation factor were observed here. Same that composite clay liner system, it found two composite clay liner systems for rock clay and maximum diffusion coefficients were observed. The maximum retardation factor of composite clay liner system, cation was observed of sodium and magnesium. There are morphology analysis for redox, SEM and XRD analysis. The major oxide present on rock clay, silicon dioxide, aluminum oxide, the calcium oxides. Based on a morphological study, we found that which one is suitable, which how will be that reactions take place, how will be the surface of the clay material studied here. So in single clay liner system, diffusion process carbon leached with the clay 1:10 ratio, the magnesium oxide, aluminum oxide reached with the clay 1:20 ratio and observe 1:10 ratios. So next one, site characterization of groundwater quality of landfill site. Found the three groundwater only for bore wells were observed that for a vicinity of 1 year, we are getting the results of anion and cations. Just compare with the WHO and BS standards. It may interpret that model studies as well as resisting microsilica clay 1:10 as a contaminant transfer may very prevent a large effect. So we are did it in both clay soil as well as single clay liner system and as well as a double clay liner system. This is your references. Thank you. So as per organizer, we are scheduled for 1 hour.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. You have taken exact 1 hour. Sir, as per our request, you have completed in the right time.
Thank you, sir.
I request participants, if you have any question, please post in the chat box. Sir, you have done very extensive work on this clay liners. Have you conducted any experiment on waste, sir? Exactly. To check the geotechnical properties of waste material.
Only for clay soil I have conducted, sir. It's not any waste material. Say solid waste we not any conducted.
Okay. Your objective is to design for the landfill. So you have conducted extensively on the landfill liners only.
Liner only, sir.
Yes, sir. But how you for conducting heavy metal? Which equipment you have used, sir? AS or ICP?
So my experiment study only for cation and anion, sir. But now available AS, even our institute is also available AS and UV.
Okay,
both will be we suppose possible to do in heavy metals.
Yes, sir. And which you are showing the detailed comprehensive laboratory experiment is a very challenging. especially to understand the stope stability of landfill is very critical.
Yes,
There
sir.
you should apply the waste mechanics and geotechnical concepts.
Yes, sir.
Still, we have a lot of lack of literatures and very few literatures and few researchers are available in India and as well as abroad. Maximum 2, 3 only. So,
Definitely, sir. There are not much for an environment geotechnical field. It's only that's why we are learning that that
yes,
particular field, sir.
yes, and also this webinar and the today which you have highlighted the importance of proper design of landfill. I request all participants who are interested to do their masters or PhD work. See, this is the burning issue. It is happening waste management. It is not only in developed country, it is also in developing country also. So you are giving the best example to understand the landfill failure of Balaswa, Ghaziapur and Wokla. With
Yes, sir.
respect to climatic change, it will be behaving differently.
Yes,
Because of
sir.
the heavy rain, it will be sliding and in the summer, it will automatically fire will take place of the degradation.
Definitely, sir.
Yes,
It's
that
not
we
for
can.
sir. In all district level also they happened.
Yes, yes, yes. So I understand. This is also happen in the Mavalipura landfill. Entire India, this is, and also Dinor landfill is in Mumbai also.
Sir.
That is, yes, it is about almost 134 acres. It is completely full of landfill. So you can't leave this land as it is. So the best thing you have to reclaim the land so that there the geotechnical persons will play a major role for
Sir.
understanding the waste mechanics. So the getting the slope stability of the thing is very very tricky. You need a
Yes, sir.
lot of practical experience
Yes,
because
sir.
I am
Yes.
also working on this. I understand this the importance and so even I request all participants who all are interested for their higher studies, please think on this geo-environmental issue. You have a better opportunity for your job also. You can enter into CPCB or pollution control board in respective states you have. You can get the job also easily if you become an expert in this area. Sir, anything you want to share your some experience? What are the difficulties you faced when you are conducting the experiment? Because you won't have any proper procedure, no
Yes, sir.
guidelines to conduct the, especially on waste. Based on the trial and error experience, you will be
Definitely,
doing
sir.
keeping this ASTM or some IS code. But what are the challenges you have faced? How
Yes.
to the collection of, especially on the collection
Uh,
of the
First one,
sample?
sir, collection of leachate.
Yes,
So, if we are researcher, most probably think that you getting approach to anybody, even private or government agency, it is
yes,
tough task for us for getting the sample collection. Sample collection, whether leachate or even we are in the textile
printing.
industry, lot of industries is there, dyeing industries also is there.
Yes,
Suppose you are request letter and you went to site, if not gave that, even the government department, so a big gained industries also is there. Even our recharge collection system in Trichabali, I frequently visited for 2 3 months. There are places they only they permitting us to go.
yes,
That is the first constraint of an environmental experts. That's why the most of researcher what they did in synthetic solution. It is a easy way. Just
yes.
you take that water and add with the chemicals and an experiment. But in reality is entirely different. So especially in leachate, there are more microbial activity there. So
Yes.
apart from those days, testing of consultation test nowadays have electronic or digital available based on that availability. Equipments also somewhat in normal geotech, especially in GCL. The
Hmm.
testing equipment very less for us in consideration.
And also for doing this, I want to add one more point. For doing this waste related, the size of the equipment should be in bigger size. You can't do it in a smaller size like a what sand. Soil
Yes, sir.
mechanics we used to do, like a box shear 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter. Or it is very, because it's
With
an
the direct
heterogeneity
seed tests are
property.
somewhat easily do
Yes.
it.
So you should mold like a 1 feet by 1 feet because even I did it in ISC.
Nice,
I
yes, sir.
understand the importance. We used to
Yes, sir.
mold the experiment for this, especially.
Yes,
It's
somewhat
all
huge
challenging.
size. Lab scale also huge size. It's not for put in lab. Somewhat
Yes.
in outskirts to put on shed and other thing you do it. That is good for getting good results. Otherwise, not getting any results. That is a problem.
And also you have to, when you are conducting experiment in the laboratory day and night, next to you snake will be there because it's a waste material.
All will
So,
be there, sir. smell. Suppose you go to landfill, if
Yes.
not at all take any even cup of coffee also.
Yes. Yes.
So health hazard is more will be that for real time experiments.
Yeah, but if you want, if you are thinking all comfort zone, then who will do the research on waste design?
That's also is there, sir. So you
So
see that in scavengers, sir, for scavenger for in under drainage system in cities, they are
yes,
facing lot of problems.
yes,
Even if you are died in every year for in metropolis due to gases emissions for poison gas emissions, this thing will be that. Sorry, at a good quoted point. Who is doing that? All will be sitting in system and doing in modeling other thing. Who is the field going and doing experiment?
only practical questions they are going, and because with increasing the population, we have a scarcity of land, water, everything. If you are
Yes,
not understanding this mechanics of waste properly,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm sure in coming days, already our Mother Earth is in trouble. Again, we will be giving extra load. It is now. It is a this webinars and this whatever we are doing this effort. It's like eye opening for our youngsters, especially for UG, PG, and PhD students or anyone. They should think and they should continue the research work also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Otherwise, just on the environmental day, we used to say planting this won't make any difference. So now this type of webinar, I think our participants, students, and staffs will be enriching the knowledge because you have completely explained the conducting that SEM EDEX on the this type of material is again challenging. You
Yes,
won't have sample size based on the trial and error. You will be preparing that sample, and every time these results will be fluctuating. No
definitely, sir.
consistency. So when you submit the article for the reputed journal, they will ask where is the reference. So again, it is very challenging to publish. So you need a lot of confidence and guts to work on this area. I'm sure this now on the Swachh Bharat scheme also now people got aware about the waste
Yes,
management, and this type of webinars will be eye opening for all
yes,
our
sir.
students. Also the person who in the industries are also now extending their one of the wing in geo-environmental, because waste is not a waste, it is a waste to wealth. And also in my research I proved it, when you remove the moisture content from the waste, it will behave like a completely like a sand. And also I compared with the soft soil, like you completely worked on clay liner,
Hmm.
I proved it. So it have a good engineering properties. That just is when water come into contact, it will the nature of the waste will become different. If you remove that, it will be completely like a sand. It have a good friction angle. It's about 35-degree and 10 cohesion. So this all things should be taken care, and you can do the economical foundation design for this contaminated sites. By telling this now, I think we won't have any questions. If any questions arises, I will email you, sir.
Definitely, sir.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you have done the wonderful presentation, and I give a complete informative about the, especially on the slope stability as well as landfill liners and the design of safety of landfill design. You have categorically have highlighted that with the case studies. Thank you, sir. And now I thank to all my students, faculty, and staff for coming to attend this webinar. And also, I'm sure the students and faculty have benefited by attending this webinar. And finally, I thanks our director, Professor S.N. Sridhara, for providing us with all possible logistic support towards organizing this event. And also, I sincere thanks to Dr. Venkateshan for accepting our invitation to be the guest speaker of this webinar. And also I thank all my departmental faculties, teaching and non-teaching staff, especially Ankit Batra, Sambhav and Sanjeev for his support for organizing this seminar. And at the end, I once again heartily thanks to all faculty, staff member and participants for their support and making this webinar successfully. Thank you one and all. And also I request all participants to fill the feedback. So this will help to improve our activities in coming days. You have another 10 minutes. I sincerely request you, please, before logging out, you please fill the feedback. Sir, please share your email ID, anything. So if any participants want to
Okay, sir.
communicate with you, let them communicate directly.
This is my visible, sir. This is my email, GV Shastra.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir,
Visible?
also, yes, sir. It is visible, and also I request you please share me this your PPT in the PDF format so I can circulate to our participants.
Okay, nice, sir. I send it, sir. No problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Because